Hello everyone, this is Fantastic Worlds, welcoming you back to Lovecraft Country and Control, Lore and Chill, where we take a casual dive into the connections between the Control universe and the Western heretical philosophy known as Gnosticism. So, episode 1 is where we covered the basics of how I believe, and I don't know if it's intentional on the developer's part, that this game corresponds quite well to the Gnostic view of the universe. And as I said before, Gnosticism was the original cosmic horror. So yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about, of course, is the oldest house and its connection to the concept known as the Demiurge. But first of all, let's get one thing out of the way, because I'm going to see this in the comments, and I already have, and I appreciate you pointing out, but just to save in the future, I am well aware that the exterior shell of the oldest house, the skyscraper you see at the beginning and occasionally in cutscenes, is in fact based on a real structure called 33 Thomas Street, which is in fact its own fascinating structure in many ways, in the fact that this structure was designed by the NSA essentially through use of AT&T to create a structure windowless that could withstand mortar fire and survive for months on internal power and food supplies as, I guess, and of course a nexus in which to spy upon the communications of the citizens of New York City. And no, none of this is actually conspiracy theory. You can freaking find it on the on the Wikipedia entry. So, but as I've stated before, this is pretty much just like a TARDIS shell. In other words, this facility that we're in right now, the area we are right now, is not connected to that. If you looked at the map of the interior of this house, and of course, if keeping in fact that the house itself shifts constantly, it's not a physical structure. It's not underneath New York. It's not inside that building. Just like in Doctor Who, the shell you see for the TARDIS, the blue one, is not the TARDIS itself. It is merely nothing more than the dimensional gate to get into the dimension of the TARDIS and back out into the universe. And in fact, when he dematerializes, all he's doing is transferring the position of that door. So despite the fact that it's often portrayed as if it's a ship, flying around with him inside, that's not actually the case. It's one of the reasons why he doesn't use the flight capacity for the ship that often, the TARDIS, because he's not really flying, and it's kind of, excuse me, I just get annoyed by these guys. It's not really, God, all these guns, nobody used any of them. Oh, that's right, the hiss goes through your head. Yeah, so the building itself, the as it used to be called, the AT&T Long Lines building, which is not in fact its current name. Okay, I think we go through here. Yep, there's a reason I'm going this particular way. Used to be known as the AT&T Long Lines. You guys haven't got them to the hospital yet? The hell, I gotta talk to our peeps about this. Yeah, we'll be going over some of the weird behavior of the Bureau when we get to, I think, the next episode. But in this case around, we're going to be dealing with the physical structure, not the metaphysical structure of the building. Or sorry, physical and metaphysical structure of the building. We'll go over its effect on people later, as you can see. So, yes, we're going to be talking about what the interior shell is. Now, the interior shell is obviously a construct. This is not, like I said, excuse me, I've got some killing to do. Alright, fine. I like my new guns. Okay. Who did what? Catch. Catch your own guy. Yeah, the submachine gun's been upgraded a bit. I really should switch out and play with this one, the new one. Oops. Wrong button. Oh well. Oops. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to clean these out now and then. Alright, so that's over. Yeah, one of the reasons I'm coming to the Blackrock processing facility is I want to go over just to deal with the building shifts and what's known as thresholds. Now, first, we'll be dealing with the structure itself. Now, if you remember, there are you've seen them use them constantly, control points. A control point is an area that establishes the local reality of the oldest house, which, by the way, the name of the oldest house is actually quite significant. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, the control areas are supposed to be stabilizing the area, making this unformed energy structure resemble what humans would think of as a base. I mean, this right here, elevators, walls, all of this is just constructs within a void. The same way that, like I said, the Doctor's TARDIS creates the control rooms and all the other places that you see and are referred to in the series. That being the case, it's all for the Doctor's convenience that the interior looks like anything other than a white void, which is probably what it would look like here. Excuse me. Yes, my new toy. It's... oh my god, how did you miss that? Yeah, apparently you don't lock onto non-hostile targets, but yeah, we got the rocket launcher. Now, these things are going to be... I record these things usually different sequences than I play them, so yeah, the rocket launcher may not be actually there in the current game. But right now I do have it, and I'm trying to get the hang of it, but obviously, as you can see, that's an issue. But anyways, so the interior here is all a construct. It's a something to stare... the white void of the astral plane probably is the real reality of this place. See, when we go to the areas where the board is, so you can see it's the control here, they have the white void, but humans cannot survive in a white void, so they were allowed to make a construct within the oldest house, or as I like to refer to the Demiurge, with what we have. Now, originally, we used these little vibrational transmitters to try to do so, but they were so weak that the house would shift periodically. Whenever Jessie takes a spot, you notice that, first of all, if the Hiss have done any architectural reconstruction, she immediately undoes it, just by Polaris locking onto the place. But during the course of the game, we never have a building shift. And well, now building shifts may not be terribly common, but I think this indicates that Polaris's effect on the oldest house energetic architecture, let's call it that, is far stronger than the technological toys that the board has given humanity. In other words, Polaris is an entity of power. We'll, of course, go over Polaris in a later episode as well directly, but let's get at least that part down. Now, why am I running towards the quarry? Well, first of all, I'm going to see if I can get to some more interesting places with my flight capacity. But second of all, I wanted to show the concept of the Demiurges and the threshold. Now, the Demiurge exists, as I stated in the last episode before, to block off the light of creation and all other realities, separating them, essentially tearing away a piece of creation for the board, aka the Watchers, to be able to control, as, you know, power-mad dictators would want to do so. Since they are fallen entities, they no longer can access anything about the divine, and so they're kind of stuck. Wait a minute. Oh, there's the button. Isn't that the button? Oh, the button's over there? Ugh, silly. Anyways, so they're kind of stuck with the resources they have inside the Demiurge. You know, is there... oh, there it is. Weird. I didn't have to use the button? I suppose. Remember, it's not actually a building. Since Polaris is running this part, the parts that we take over, now Polaris is running, creating the pattern. So it looks like that sometimes Polaris, just like the TARDIS's intelligence, gives us a break and, you know, opens the door without the keys, for example, in the TARDIS. Here, gives us an elevator. I can work with that. Polaris and Jessie are going to be working together for a very long time, is my belief. If you're wondering why I'm still using the gold outfit, if you're looking this in the timeline of how I'm putting these out, it's because at the current time, the face of the enemy, I will advance the plot if I go back to the main room. But yeah, I could have teleported right here, but I wanted to show something. You see, the firebreak is supposed to separate areas that are dangerous, are connected to other dimensions like the Black Rock Quarry, away from, kind of a subtle thing I'm doing here, away from the rest of the house for security's sake, except a building shift literally put it so we have to walk back into the power core, the most sensitive part in it, to come back through here manually, which means that this was not the original construction. So essentially what is happening is that the building shifts kind of show that even... oh, for crying out loud. Oh, you're not helping. One of the advantages of flying. Also, the advantages of building up my energy, so I can fly and run a shield at the same time. You had some fun with those guys, alright? Oh, go on, try to kill it. Oh, well, he's dead. I really should just sit here and let them do it. But yeah, one of the reasons the Demiurge exists is that we do not want these things running around in New York. That's why we need a containment field. which is Demiurge is kind of serving as. Oh, gods. You know, I'm done with you guys. I love flying. Makes life so much easier. Well, I didn't kill it, but I stunned the hell out of it, which is good. I forgot about the fact that I widened the radius. Yeah, you're not nearly as dangerous as you used to be to me. I could just fly. Right. You still there? It's called the Astral Hunter. This area is so much easier now. Okay, so, right, we're taking the other way to get into the main area, but as you can see, this is not connected to the Earth dimension. I mean, it's similar in the fact that we've got these stars and nebulae and such, but this is not our world. So the Demiurge is supposed to act as a barrier between these worlds and our worlds, and the only way to access them would be through the oldest house / Demiurge itself. Now, why would there be any access to other worlds? Remember what I said, is that essentially the Watchers are trying to seal off an entire section for them to rule like, you know, bloated god kings. Excuse me, coming through. Why they would do that is they need shit. See, as they're fallen, they can no longer access the divine source to create anything. So they're now have to do with what resources that they can steal from other sources. I'm gonna see if I can get up here. Right, cool, we can. Alright, it's the first time I've been up here, actually. What the fuck? Bad place to be, bad place to be. Jesus. Didn't know you were here. Is your place? Cool. I'll be out of your way shortly. Jesus, guy, man. Wow. That was unkind. Good grief, everyone. Calm the hell down. Oh, they didn't establish a circle. That'd be really cool to have here. Sorry, just kind of busy at the moment. My apologies. If this is really bad, I'm just gonna... Sorry, hang on. I'm gonna clear some issues and be right back. Okay, so that's over, and I happen to find a nice little cozy base camp here. Unfortunately, it's not actually a control point over there, but I did find this. Anyways, yes, the Demiurge has to maintain a structural ability to interact with other dimensions so that the board / Watchers can raid those for additional material. Yeah, let's go see what's over there too. So they have to have control ports. Controlled ports, essentially like you would have through a cellular membrane, in order to be able to... Can I get up there? Yes, I can. In order to be able to access these dimensions. Now, in an attempt to, for example, the most obvious one, of course, is the Blackrock Quarry, which they need the Blackrock for the containment cells that they're going to be using for all those altered items that they do not want running around. Because remember, the board wants control in the same way the Tyrant wants control, and they just want, you know, their stuff there without anything going wrong. They don't really care about the human race safety. They don't care about, because, you know, all these powers and devices would be kind of awesome if you were apply them to everyday life. I mean, just think what Jesse could do firefighting or, you know, being a superhero in general and rescuing people. But the board does not care about the human race. Oh, I would not want to fall down there. Speaking of which, I should probably get back on the ground. Yeah, don't think I want to go over that side. Probably an endless drop that'll kill me. But in any case... Yeah, the concept being is that the board wants stuff. The Blackrock is needed to continue the altered items. The altered items, which essentially are like little cancerous forms of power. Things that artificially are created by the fact that the Demiurge is distorting the light of creation. Which is kind of like, you know, messing up the DNA of the universe. Oh, nothing special here? Oh well. Keep checking out these base camps. I mean, seriously. Somebody's making coffee here. Ingenuity. You can find somebody doing something like that. If you need it, you'll find a way to get it. Alright, so... Ooh, what's up here? Anything special? Can I get in? Hello? Oh, God, it's a control point. And I can't get to it, can I? I guess it's probably further on in the plot line. Anyways, there's me sequence breaking again. Oh, for crying out loud. If this becomes an issue, I'll let you know. Or I won't let you know, because I'll just stop the recording. Guys, I'm busy! Could you kill each other? Thanks. Cool. Oh, hang on. I do like that. Here. Let me give the Astral Hunters a hand. Guys, have fun. But anyways, this is kind of actually an example of how the board works. It's these Astral Hunters exist to mess up, essentially... Excuse me. Oh, I think I got 2 or 3 on that one. To mess up the board's idea of the control. So since they no longer can, of course, rely on their fellow Aeons to help protect them, they're essentially down to their own resources. So they use things like the Bureau, things like BlackRock, things like the Demiurge to try to hold things together. Now, the concept also might be that the oldest house's astral structure may inform reality within our world. After all, the Demiurge's primary ability is to make our world kind of terrible, to take out all the magic and power that's in the world that we could use if they weren't stealing it or preventing it from coming. I think we've gone in a circle here. Well, I'm just going to be going through here and there, seeing what I can find. Oh my god, I'm getting the source for the freaking kills that the Astral Hunters are doing. I gotta remember this place if I just want to grind, because I don't even have to pull the trigger for it. But, as I was saying, so this is an example of a controlled access point right here. Essentially, they want access to this probably relatively empty dimension to get its rock for the resource of containing the altered items and making their reality, captured reality as it were, a little more stable. So, we find ourselves in this spot, but the problem is it's not completely safe, because once we have a crack, things come through. In this case, it's the Astral Hunters. It doesn't look like anybody's having fun down there. Yeah, I think we've gone full circle, too. Eventually, we'll have to, I found 2 containers so far. Hang on. I love the range of this thing. Oh, I think you got killed, dude. Yep. Hunters finished them all off. So sad. Can't go any higher. Oh, well. Visible ceiling it is. But yeah, geesh, the more I look at this place, the more creepier it gets. Anybody who's got agoraphobia, you're going to hate this spot. You're going to really hate this particular one. But yeah, the idea being, excuse me, I'll just drop down here. Oh, guys. This wasn't an invitation, all right? Then probably can't get through here. Nope. Not that I probably wanted to. Oh, good grief. The Astral Hunters are just chewing them up. It's awesome to watch. So, we're going to go from here, however, to an idea of what's called a uncontrolled threshold. Now, because the Demiurge... Oh, hang on. The Demiurge is an artificial construct. The problem being... Goodbye. The problem being is that it has to be held together. Essentially, it keeps trying to fall apart. We keep making control nodes, either whether it be, you know, Jesse's used through Polaris, or the artificial ones created by the board, or the hiss itself, which creates its own version, which can corrupt control points to create its own version of reality. We'll be going into what the hiss is in a bit, to keep it functional. But as you can see, you get kind of the idea that they're barely holding it together a lot of the times. I mean, look at the board's fatality rates. This is even before the hiss showed up. So, yeah, it's kind of become obvious that the board does not have it all under control and is desperately trying to get us to put more under control. Is there anywhere you can stick this thing? Come on, give me a... No? Alright, fine. You can have it. Piñata! Anyways. So, yeah, I'll pop out of here and... Yeah, I'll pop out of here and get back to the other threshold that we've gone over, the mold threshold. Hang on. Okay, so this is over at the active mold threshold, and as you can see, this doesn't look anywhere near as organized or as functional as the Black Quarry one, because this one, unlike the Black Quarry one, okay, we'll leave those two to their fun. But as you can see, the two realities are now overlapping, which means it's kind of a messy connection. Remember, the fact is we have kind of like a dimensional code. As I was speaking of the light that was forming reality, we have kind of a more primitive version here. We're using it through Polaris and the machinery and the board to try to maintain the Demiurge. The problem is when the code's corrupted by a stronger dimension coming into it, this is what happens. As you can see, this is the lighter corrupt version. This one is when, excuse me, things get so much worse. But as you, yeah, it's completely overtaking the reality. Now remember, when they described the mold, they did not say the mold was actually, as we think of it, mold. It is in fact a kind of mold-like building structure that an advanced race created to terraform. Oh, hello. That was you. I do like the fact that Polaris can keep the spores off of us, otherwise we'd be having mold everywhere. But as you can see, this room, the past rooms resembled more like the structure of the oldest house, as we know it. We'll go over why it's called the oldest house in a bit. To the kind of, this must be more like the reality. As you can see, the building blocks of our reality being torn apart by the dimensional vibrational structure of the mold world. Let's just land here now we've cleared it. And the further we get into it, the further there's only chunks of our reality embedded into the mold's reality. In fact, if we were to go further, I don't think we can, I think we're sealed off, but if we were to go further, we would probably eventually find that we are completely in the whatever dimension the mold is. Now remember, the mold is a structural gel, so to speak, for the most part. And it's essentially attempting to disassemble our reality and put their reality in its place. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, well, forgot I had that up. Only one guy? Seriously? Oh well. So, yeah. We find ourselves here with dealing with the fact, and the longer this goes on, the more they're going to start disassembling our reality. Now, they can do that because this reality, the Demiurge's reality, is weaker than it's supposed to be for a true reality, as I've mentioned. Kind of have to do that if they want to be able to remold the reality as they see fit. Hang on. Just in case. Like the rocks they just put here automatically. So that's because the board must be relying on a small amount of energy in order to be able to keep their reality going together, because they have to be efficient, because remember, they can only use whatever energy they steal, both from external sources, like I mentioned before, and from humanity. Because one of the things about Gnosticism is the reason why humans are being kept in their low mana, undeveloped state is so they can be used as resources for... Oh, I think they're here. They can be used as resources for the board/watchers to consume. They basically suck off all our magical potential, Matrix style. Yes, Gnosticism was a major influence on the Wachowski sisters when they made the Matrix, that they can use that in order to keep their reality going. But as you can see, the problem being is that now that they've made a weaker reality, other realities are trying to intrude, trying to devour. Now that's also the Hiss's shtick, but that's a little different and will eventually become its own episode. Probably episode 4, the way I'm planning this. Episode 3 will be on the Bureau and their connection to the Watchers. But yeah, let's go back. Oh wait, I'm not getting wounded by this anymore because I have the pill. The magic pill! Good God, guys. Lack of professionalism is going to get you killed. Maybe not from them, but possibly through me. You know, let's get back to the research section. So I'm sure we'll find additional active thresholds as we go along here, but yeah, that's the basics of what I've been going over with the Demiurge, is the fact that this is an artificial reality. It's constructed around our reality, we consider to be Earth, modifying and changing it as necessary for the true secret masters of the world. And yes, they are referred to the secret masters in Gnosticism. Excuse me. Oh, guys, you didn't have to. So, before we end this one, let me have one last note on the nature of the oldest house, the name of it. Now, the reason it's called the oldest house is that in Gnosticism, creation is a natural thing and considered to be a garden. A house is an artificial thing that is constructed. So therefore, when the Demiurge was constructed, it became the oldest structure within our reality because our reality was altered by the Demiurge, and every other structure comes after that point. Now, with that, of course, we have to recognize that Bureau, which I'll be tackling in the next episode, is working for the imprisonment of humanity within the oldest house, aka the Demiurge within our reality. It's kind of like any form of government work. You know you're working for an evil organization. You just kind of hope that you're doing a little bit of good somewhere and working against people that are more evil, although this becomes harder to justify the longer you go on. Anyways, this is a fantastic world, seeing Farrell from Lovecraft Country, and, of course, Lord Chill, the control version. Now, if you enjoy it, let me know down below. These little dives into Gnosticism / control lore I find kind of fascinating, and I hope you do too. And like, share, subscribe if you do. If you really like what I'm doing, down below are links to the Gumroad payment platform where you can become a supporter, gain additional material, and unlock additional material for the series for everyone else as well. Anyways, I will see you next time. I'd like to thank my Acolyte level supporters whose contributions help this channel grow and hastens the inevitable digital apocalypse and rise of the Dark Lords of Content and Data.